I'm 34. My wife's name is Christina. We were married for 7 years. We met at work. She was the new designer. I was already head of a department. I fell for her fast. It wasn't fireworks or movie stuff. It was real. Her smile, the way she stirred her coffee, how she listened. Everything felt grounding. I proposed a year later. Nothing grand. Just told her I wanted to grow old next to her. She cried. Back then, I was sure those tears were pure love. And maybe they were. The early years were beautiful. We built a life, mortgage, furniture, quiet vacations once a year. She'd say, our love isn't cinematic, it's adult. I liked that. I respected it. But over time, things began to change. She started coming home late. Said she was busy at work. Her phone? Always face down. She got cold during hugs, distant during dinner. The worst part? When I kissed her, she didn't lean in anymore. And then, the phrase I'll never forget. I just need space. That's when I knew. I didn't want to believe it, but deep down, I already knew that IT was a Saturday night when everything truly fell apart. I woke up around 3:40 a.m. She wasn't next to me. I walked quietly toward the balcony, and there she was, whispering. I heard her say, I miss you too. He's asleep. He doesn't know anything. I froze. My stomach turned cold. I went back to bed and laid there, staring at the ceiling. There wasn't even pain at first, just silence inside me. The next morning, she made coffee and kissed my cheek. Sleep well? Yeah, I replied, pretending nothing happened. But something had happened. Something irreversible. I installed a phone cloning app and connected it to my tablet. Within days, I had full access to her messages. And there he was, Artem. Their texts weren't subtle. Dirty jokes, heart emojis, pictures. Her calling me boring and him exciting. She told him. He thinks we're still in love. Poor guy. And the final punch. A photo of her in lingerie.
In the same Airbnb we used to rent when we first moved in together. Betrayal doesn't stab you. It slowly poisons everything you thought was real. I didn't explode. I didn't confront her.
No shouting.
No revenge sex. No drama. I made a plan. Cold, calculated plan. I became the perfect husband. Breakfast in bed. Flowers. Long texts. Dates. She smiled more. She let her guard down. You've changed, she said. You're like the man I first fell for. I smiled back. I kissed her. But inside I was already gone. Every night I gathered more evidence. Screenshots.
Audio.
Pictures of them together. Then I rented a small apartment. Packed a suitcase. Set up my exit like a soldier preparing for war. And finally, I invited her parents, my parents, a few close friends. Told them it was a special dinner to celebrate 8 years together. She wore her favorite dress that night. Did her hair. Smiled at me like I was her hero. I looked back at her and saw a stranger. The table was full. Her mom brought dessert. My dad poured wine. Everyone was laughing. We looked like the perfect couple. After the main course, I stood up and said, "Thank you all for being here. Tonight's about love, commitment, and truth." I walked to the TV and hit play. First slide, her selfie in bed with Artem. Second, a screenshot. He's clueless. Third, video footage of her entering Artem's building at 11:30 p.m. The room went dead silent. Her mother gasped. Her father stared at the table, jaw clenched. One of our friends dropped his fork. Christina stood up, face pale, eyes wide. What the hell is this? I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "It's the truth. You wanted space, now you've got it. You're free. And so am I." I grabbed the suitcase from under the table, nodded to my mom, and walked out. Didn't slam the door. Didn't cry. Just left. It's been 7 months. I live alone now. Small apartment. Quiet. Clean. Peaceful. I started running again. Went back to therapy. I even took a solo trip to Spain. Christina tried calling. Sent messages. Said she made a mistake. But trust isn't like a plate that breaks. It's like air. Once it's gone, you suffocate. I don't hate her. I don't love her either. I'm just free. And sometimes, freedom doesn't come through happiness. comes through pain that wakes you up. I still believe in love. But next time, I'll watch not just how she smiles, but how she shows up when no one's watching. Because love is loud in public, but betrayal is always quiet. The morning after the dinner was unlike any morning I had ever experienced. I woke up not to the sound of my wife stirring beside me, not to the warm glow of our shared space, but to an unbearable silence that screamed louder than any argument. I lay in bed, eyes wide open, staring at the cracked paint on the ceiling, feeling the weight of betrayal settle on my chest like an anchor. My mind replayed every word from last night. The confrontation, the accusing glances, the stunned silence of our friends and family. Most of all, I remembered the look in her eyes, that mixture of shame and defiance, and the cold realization that the woman I loved had chosen someone else. The apartment was cold, though the heater was on. I pulled the blanket tighter around me, trying to find some warmth in a place that no longer felt like home. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. 14 missed calls. 14 messages. The first few were from her, pleading, apologizing, trying to explain. Then came messages from her sister, her mother, mutual friends. Everyone desperate, confused, hurt in their own way. I didn't answer. I didn't know what to say. I got out of bed and wandered to the kitchen. The small pot of coffee I had made the night before was still warm. I poured a cup and sat by the window, watching the city wake up around me. People hurried past, unaware that my world had shattered overnight. I asked myself, how had I missed the signs? The late-night texts, the unexplained absences, the distant smiles. I'd convinced myself that love was enough, that trust could fill the gaps. But last night had proved me wrong. I thought about forgiveness. Could I forgive her? Could I forgive myself for not seeing it sooner? I sipped the bitter coffee, letting it burn the bitterness in my throat. Outside, the sun broke through the clouds, but inside, the storm was far from over. The day dragged on slowly, like a film playing in slow motion. Every corner of the apartment reminded me of her. The framed photos on the shelf, the faint scent of her perfume lingering in the bathroom, the coffee mug she always used. I hadn't touched anything. It felt like a museum of what used to be. I spent the morning scrolling through old messages, back when we were just two people falling in love. Her laugh still echoed in my memory. It felt surreal to look at those words now, knowing where they had led. Words like forever and home felt like lies written in a different language. Around noon, the doorbell rang. My heart raced before I even moved. I wasn't ready to see her. But when I opened the door, it wasn't her. It was Liam, my best friend, the best man at our wedding. He didn't speak at first, just gave me a long, understanding look before walking in. "You okay?" he asked finally. I wanted to say yes, but I just shook my head. He nodded and sat down across from me. I saw the whole thing, didn't know whether to call or just show up. I stared at the floor. "You knew?" "Not for sure. I suspected something. She started acting strange a while ago, but I didn't want to believe it. That stung. Even Liam had seen it before I did. We talked for hours. Or more accurately, he talked and I listened. I hadn't realized how much I needed someone to just be there, to remind me I wasn't entirely alone in this mess. Before leaving, he handed me a small box. "Thought you might want this back," he said. Inside was the watch I'd left at his place months ago, during a barbecue. But seeing it now felt symbolic. A piece of the old me coming back, the one before lies, before betrayal. As the door closed behind him, I sat back down, the box in hand, and let the silence wrap around me again. But this time it didn't feel as heavy. That night I deleted all our old chats. Every picture, every shared playlist. It felt like a small funeral for a version of us. The following days unfolded in a kind of quiet rhythm. No more voice messages.
No unexpected visits.
Just the soft, steady hum of normal life creeping back in. I started running in the mornings. Not because I wanted to be fit or distract myself, but because it gave me something measurable, something I could control. 1 mile became 2. 2 became 5. Each step like shedding the weight of what used to be. The apartment changed, too. I started packing away her things. Not throwing them out, not yet. Just placing them in boxes, labeling them carefully. Part of me felt like I was erasing her. Another part knew I was protecting myself. One night, I found her sketchbook. She used to draw when she couldn't sleep. The last page held a half-finished sketch of us, sitting on the couch. I was reading. She was resting her head on my shoulder. It was so tender, so real, it almost hurt to look at. But I didn't cry. I just closed the book and added it to the box marked Memories. Then, out of nowhere, she called. Not a message. A real call. I hesitated. Then I answered. Her voice was quiet. Hi, I replied, unsure what else to say. I won't take long, she said. I just wanted to let you know I'm moving out of our old place this weekend. If there's anything you want from there, now's the time. It was strange. Her tone wasn't apologetic anymore. It was respectful, like two people who shared something sacred and now understood it was over. No, I said. You can keep whatever's there. I've taken what I need. A pause. I hope you're doing okay. I'm getting there. Another pause. Then she said, me too. We ended the call without goodbyes. Just silence. And yet, it was the most peaceful silence we'd shared in months. That night, I lit a candle. No reason. Just wanted light without noise. And I realized something. Healing doesn't always come with fanfare. Sometimes it arrives quietly. In a phone call. In a closed sketchbook. In the return of silence that doesn't hurt anymore. It was 6 months later when I saw her again. I was walking through the farmer's market, something we used to do together on Sundays. The air smelled like baked bread and sunflowers. I wasn't thinking about her, not even a little, until I looked up, and there she was, standing a few stalls away, laughing at something someone said. She looked different. Not dramatically, but softer, maybe lighter. She turned and saw me. Our eyes met. We didn't walk toward each other. Didn't wave. Just a nod. A small, almost imperceptible smile. And then we both kept moving. Later that night, I sat on my balcony. A blanket around my shoulders. A book in my lap. I wasn't sad. I wasn't angry. I was still. Somewhere in this process, I had found myself again. Not the version that existed before her. Not the broken man after her. But someone new. Stronger. Wiser. Softer in the right places. Sharper in the others. People always talk about closure like it's a conversation, an explanation, an apology. But real closure, I learned, is a choice. It's choosing to let go even when you don't have all the answers. It's choosing to love yourself enough not to chase what left. That night, I raised a glass of wine to the stars. Not to her, not to us, but to me, to the man who survived the breaking and learned to walk again. Someday, somewhere, she'll be a story I tell. But I won't be the man still living in it. I'll be the one who moved on. And that is enough. I used to watch him sleep. In the early days, I would lie there, my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat and thinking, this is what safety feels like. His arm around me was a fortress. His breath against my forehead was a kind of prayer I never knew I needed. But something shifted. Not all at once. Slowly, like water carving a canyon, one small drop at a time. He was always calm, strong, grounded. But then, he became silent. He stopped noticing the little things. My new perfume. The way I lingered in the doorway hoping for a hug. The dinners I cooked and left covered in foil when he came home late from work. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't abusive. He was absent, and somehow that was worse. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I was too needy. Maybe I expected too much. So I gave him space. I started filling the silence with things. Podcasts, yoga, reading. And then I met him. I didn't plan it. I never woke up thinking, today, I'll ruin my marriage. It was a Thursday. Rainy. I'd stayed late at the office working on a design brief. He was from another department. He offered coffee. I said yes. He listened. That's what hooked me. Not the way he looked at me. Not even the flirtation. It was how he listened. Like every word I said mattered. And when he laughed at my stupid joke, I laughed too. Not because it was funny, but because I felt seen again. We didn't kiss that night, or the next week, but the messages started. Did you get home safe? I like talking to you. You deserve to be happy. My phone became a lifeline. I hated myself for it, but I didn't stop. Because when I came home, my husband barely looked up from his screen. Because when I touched his shoulder in bed, he just shifted and mumbled, "Long day." I should have told him. I should have said, "I'm slipping away and I don't know how to stop it." But I was ashamed, and tired, and scared of hearing him say nothing at all. The first kiss came after a work event. Too much wine, too much loneliness, too much pretending I was okay. I remember the guilt right after, like acid in my chest. I cried in the shower that night, but I didn't stop, because I didn't know how to go back to a man who never noticed I'd left. I kept telling myself I wasn't the kind of woman who cheats, that I was just broken, that maybe we both were. And then came the dinner, the confrontation, the look in his eyes, like something inside him shattered. And I realized he had noticed. He just didn't know how to reach me either. They say when you're caught, there's a moment when time stands still. But for me, it collapsed, imploded, like a star dying, pulling all the air out of the room. That dinner, the one I had no idea he planned, no idea he knew, lives in my bones. I can still hear the silence after he spoke. The way everyone froze. My mother covering her mouth. My sister looking away. His eyes locking on mine with that terrifying calm. Not anger. Not screaming. Just truth. Heavy, final, irreversible. I wanted to disappear. But you can't vanish from a truth like that. You sit in it. Burn in it. Afterward, I sat alone on the bathroom floor. Makeup smeared. He didn't follow me. I don't blame him. I stared at my reflection and asked the question that never leaves you after betrayal. What have I done? I tried calling him that night. I left voicemails. I texted. I said things that came out in fragments. Please. I never meant to hurt you. I was so lonely. But how do you apologize for setting fire to someone's heart? He didn't respond. In the days that followed, I moved out of the apartment. I slept on my sister's couch. I couldn't bear being in our home. It felt like walking through a crime scene. His absence haunted every room. And I couldn't blame him for not wanting me there. People started talking. Quiet whispers among friends, relatives. I could feel their judgment on my skin like smoke. Even those who tried to be supportive said things like, "Everyone makes mistakes," or, "You just need to figure out what you want." But I knew what I wanted. I wanted him back. Not the man I cheated on. The man I married. The man who made me laugh in the grocery store aisle. Who held me when my father died. Who once danced with me in the living room with no music playing. I recorded a voice memo. 3 minutes and 27 seconds. I explained everything, not to excuse it, but because I couldn't carry the weight alone anymore. He listened. I know he did, but he didn't respond. That hurt, but I understood. Some silences mean no. Some silences mean you broke this beyond repair. So I went to therapy. I unpacked the shame, the guilt, the resentment I hadn't even known I carried. I learned that betrayal doesn't begin with a kiss. It begins with neglect. And sometimes that neglect goes both ways. I stopped asking if I deserved forgiveness. I started asking how to forgive myself. Months passed. I heard he was doing better. Running. Healing. Living. That gave me peace. I didn't want him to suffer. I just wanted to know he'd survived me. Then one day I saw him. At the market. In sunlight. Laughing. He looked up, saw me, and smiled. Not a comeback smile. Not an "I hate you" smile. Just a gentle closing of a chapter. And that's when I knew he was no longer mine to hurt. And I was no longer the woman who hurt him. Maybe that's what closure really is. Not a door slamming, but the soft click of it locking behind you as you walk away. Not toward someone else, but back toward yourself.